attempt at prevention. So I think that's something that we need to recognise and acknowledge. That you are a fantastic individual for all you've done in this regard. Through investing in the reduction of risks, we're putting a plan in place before a disaster strikes, and this pays huge dividends. And I really just want to strongly commend you and all your efforts in this regard. Thank you.
Senator Van Turnhout for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, and I too would like to join with my colleagues in very warmly welcoming you, Margareta Wahlström, to the House, and also indeed to welcome Gay Mitchell MEP, whom we had an excellent exchange actually on development issues here in this House earlier this year. Mrs Wahlström, I think your work, particularly with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, your role as the Secretary General, Special Coordinator for the Response Coordination during the initial phase of the international reaction to the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, and now your appointment as the UN Assistant Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, which has brought you here before the House today. But in fact, all of this work that you've done over the past 30 years since spanning really shows for us the expertise that you have and the honour for us that you're addressing the House. And when we see the aftermath of events such as the 2004 tsunami, the Christchurch earthquake, as you said yourself, or most recently the Oklahoma tornado, we here in Ireland often actually feel quite insulated from the effects of such dangers because of our geographical position. However, reflecting on the work of the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction, it is quite clear that in many ways this is a very false sense of security, which belies our ever-increasing levels of global interconnectedness, which, while bringing countless benefits, also increases our sensitivity to the effects of events originating far beyond our borders. Several of my colleagues have mentioned and raised the really very important human consequences of such disasters. Specifically, I was struck by how irrevocable a disaster can undermine the long-term competitiveness and sustainability, not only of the epicentre of the disaster, but also to those they share economic ties. And for example, in preparing for today, I was very interested in reading a report by your organisation entitled Shared Risk to Shared Value, the business case for disaster risk reduction. I say to my colleagues it's well worth a read, because one example cites how the damage to one maker of microchips in Japan resulted in 150,000 fewer cars being manufactured in the United States. So one microchip maker is damaged, and that is the effect that it has across the world. And we saw in the wake of the Thai floods that global GDP fell by 3%. In an open economy such as ours, this is something which we must be highly connected. Or, as the report more succinctly states, we must be aware that disaster risk does not stop at the factory gate. I'm also mindful that disasters disproportionately affect lower income countries, communities and households, and those who benefit least from the wealth created owing to economic globalisation. So I'd be most interested to hear your opinion on the social justice aspects of reduction programmes, specifically how business interests can be used as a vector, and if you believe that increasing business sensitivity towards investing in risk-prepared nations will encourage governments to become more risk-aware. And I'd also like to ask you what you believe we can do on a national level to maintain the stability of our supply chain, because I think that is something that we need to consider. And finally, if we're looking ahead to 2015 and the renegotiation of a new risk reduction framework, what do you feel will be the key elements that we as a Seanad, as an Irish nation, can play a role in supporting this awareness and ensuring that this plan will be fit for purpose? Thank you.
Margaret, Senator Éireann.
Thank you, and I want to welcome the Special Representative to the House. You're very welcome to discuss this important issue. I suppose we're fortunate in this country that we have